Opendoor CEO talks about the Trump administration, what he thinks about Trump, and what happens now in the government side that could let Open to absolutely explode.
Welcome to the game, I'm the wolf of Dubai.
Welcome to a brand new video. If you don't know who I am, my name is Danny and I'm looking for stocks that can absolutely explode. And Bitmine and Opendoor is not my first rodeo. I did this with Tesla and other stocks like Robinhood, Nvidia, and so on. And they absolutely exploded. And my subscribers bought even house and apartments. So I believe that you should be subscribed because it's totally for free. And you can just watch those videos. And if you want to be even closer to us and we should do all the work for you in the short-term market, then we trade US stock market options on daily basis in our XN day trading group where we trade for you with our software. We have like a professional day trading team that is watching 12 hours the market and, decide together on one trade that we send out to all our members, and we close it also in your Interactive Brokers account, which is the biggest broker in the world. If you don't have an account yet, it takes like 10 minutes to sign up. It's, insane. The technology behind this, where we invest over $1 million, is absolutely mind-blowing, and I believe that we should see a couple of people that got very, very wealthy from our program already, right? Like you can see the results. We want to trade you $10,000, which should be the minimum, because we're using only 5% of your portfolio each trade. Could be somewhere around $58,000. If this is interesting, then schedule a call because we are raising our joining fee and there's always just limited spaces on our group every week. Okay, so check it out and let me know. Now, let's talk about the Trump administration. Well, the dream of America is the house, is a good job or a company, and just have like a nice family. Well, that dream gets obviously a little bit harder when a teacher like 50 years ago could afford a home and now they can't, right? So Trump comes out and says, okay, we need to change something. Okay, first of all, I believe the crisis could be solved by just, putting the regulations a little bit easier so it doesn't take like 3-4 years to get like a permit for an apartment building, for example. But he does also something other, which he already introduced to the market, that Trump will say that institutional buyers cannot buy any more American homes that should be available for the American families. Have a look what Cass, our CEO, actually said.
Let's talk about just the economy, and I think the current administration in the United States. We're recording this a few days after President Trump announced an executive order which is going to ban institutional buying of single-family homes. It seems like the administration has a war on the lack of affordability. They have talked about Fannie and Freddie buying, $200 billion of mortgage-backed securities. They obviously want interest rates lower. Just how do you think of President Trump, the administration, and the housing market?
I think President Trump is doing an excellent job. Look, it should be true that a teacher can buy a home under salary. It used to be true. It should be true again. And the stack of stuff that is in the way of that is very high. And the president is one by one attacking it, one by one. The mortgage stuff has been genuinely amazing, just generally good work. And the most recent stuff say, hey, look, on a national level, it may not be an issue. But I'm telling you, in Atlanta, in Charlotte, in Dallas, in Raleigh, it matters. The average homeowner, the average teacher, the average family can't find a single family home to buy. They can't afford one. So I think what the president has done is the right thing. And look, it's not like I don't think the government should be involved in everything. And the government, and by the way, the president's being incredibly nuanced and thoughtful about how they're going about this. The average American family owning a home is important for the kids that grow up in that home. And what the president has said is, we now have the highest share of homes that are not owned by families and individuals. And when you think of a home, you don't think of it like any other asset. It's not like any other asset. It's important that families live in them. And it's important to not be taken out of the circulation from families to buy. And I think it's deeply unfair, just generally deeply unfair, that the capital structure is built in such a way where families are disadvantaged when it comes to buying home.
What about interest rates? I think there's a lot of people who would say, hey, lower interest rates are good for Opendoor. I think I've been pretty vocal about the fact that the inflation metrics are obviously very wrong. Inflation is probably much lower. You have the deflation coming from AI. The Fed seems kind of behind the curve. There may be some politics, disagreement between the Fed and the administration. How do you just think about interest rates, where they should be, and its impact on Opendoor?
I think interest rates are very clearly artificially high. It's just very look, anyone who works in tech understands the significant deflationary pressure coming our way. We're going to have very real deflationary issues at current interest rates not that long from now. And I think this is one of those things that people who care about Wall Street and live in New York miss what is happening in the rest of the country. And we're seeing it in a real way. I think you talked about it a couple of days ago about how inflation is now below 2% and decreasing. We've seen a real pressure on the job market that is there because the interest rates are too high. And I think this is one of those things where people are, I think people deep down understand that the right thing is for lower interest rates, but they are worried about what will happen if they do it. And I understand they have a different job than I do, but I can tell you the average American family would be better off, and the American economy would be far better off if interest rates were lower, and they should be. I was surprised they were not cut more deeply last time.
It feels like home prices, if you look at the data, are starting to plateau, potentially fall. Rents plateau to potentially fall. We know gas is down. We know certain foods are down. I mean, egg prices have fallen off a cliff, et cetera. I remember when Scott Bessent took over as Treasury Secretary, he was interviewed by the All In podcast guys. And one of the questions they asked him is, do you believe the economic data? And he said no. And he specifically called out the fact that the data was saying one thing, but people were yelling and screaming a different personal experience. And he was trying to, kind of figure out, well, do you believe the data or do you believe the people? I get the sense that the data has started to become much more positive in terms of prices coming down. But if you go out on the street, people will say the prices are too high, this is really bad, I can't get ahead, et cetera. Do you all make decisions internally at all in terms of economic data or what you're hearing from people?
Look, I think Jeff Bezos was right about this. When there is a conflict between data and intuition, the odds are your intuition is correct. Because all intuition is crystallized knowledge over years. That's all intuition is.
It's your personal algorithm.
Yeah, it's like look, I think government data is very frequently wrong about these things. You don't have to take my word for it. You can look at crime reports. The data would tell you that crime in San Francisco has gone down. I would like you to walk the streets of San Francisco and tell me that. Right? Just because people stopped reporting crimes, so therefore the crime data went down. Great. That's what you did. Like, I think these are like very real things. I think you can actually judge the health of an economy based on the lived experience of the average person. Much better than you can based on some like database that was created in 1970 something where data is so laggy, it's unreliable. It's not, look, I think people who work in tech look at economic data and they think it's like user data you get from a browser, because those of us who work in tech are used to so much live data all the time and it's real. That's not true about government provided economic data. Most of it is an approximation that's very delayed. And this is what Kant talked about, right? Pretense of knowledge. That was his Nobel speech, was about pretense of knowledge. There's a great deal of pretense of knowledge when it comes to economic data and decisions that are made based on it. Someone said the other day that the Fed could not cut interest rates because the Bureau of Labor's employment data was delayed. Like, I would like them to stop using the Bureau of Labor's employment data. Like, that's much, like, call up Plaid, get their data.
It's crazy. I mean, this is why I'm such a fan of Trueflation. Is just like the real-time nature of it.
So you can see here in the clip that it's really amazing to see that the things that could align very, very magically for open happens right now in front our eyes. And it happens while Trump is still a couple of years in the administration, guys. Okay, so that's something that could be very, very beneficial for Opendoor as the American #1 company for buying and selling homes. With the new CEO, it's like a perfect storm. And let me know what you do with your Open and if you're already an Open investor. And I see you obviously tomorrow. Check out xnDayTrading.com and don't forget, the grass is greener always on the other side.